The battle for the gavel is on. House Speaker Mike Johnson facing opposition from some Republicans who want him out of the big seat. But President-elect Trump threw his support behind the incumbent. Let's bring in our political panel. Cassie Smedile, former RNC Deputy Communications Director, and Megan Hayes, former Director of Message Planning for the Biden White House. Ladies, thank you for joining me. Happy New Year. By the end of the week, though, we could have quite a mess. Now, Johnson was on Hannity last night and talked about getting Trump's endorsement. Here's what he had to say.
He recognizes that what we need right now, I think my colleagues recognize this as well, is a proven fighter and a true MAGA conservative, but also someone who can work with every single member of our very diverse House GOP. We're going to fix the border. We are going to get the economy humming again. We are going to restore our stature on the world stage, get our energy policy fixed.
Recognize it, all of them, because the math is so narrow, with Massey already saying he is a definite no. You can only lose one Republican, and yet it seems that you have other members that are really questioning it. Victoria Spartz and some others saying they haven't committed yet. How do you see this playing out?
I'm sorry, Griff, who was that to? It cut out.
Cassie.
Oh, great. Yeah, you say hate the game, not the player. Especially don't hate the player at the expense of losing that MAGA momentum that everybody is talking about. For these members who are on the fence, Speaker Johnson, as he said last night, these are his colleagues. He's very collegial with them. It's how he got the job in this first place. Use these next couple of days to talk about what they want, what changes they want to see made, particularly with the rules. That's typically where we see this stuff played out. And then go in and be united in the vote, because that's what the American people need. I know these members of Congress are trying to show up for their constituents, but also remember that those constituents, many of them, the majority of them, are Trump voters. And they also gave President Trump a mandate, and he needs a Congress to work with him to carry out that mandate and to use this crucial first 100 days or so to get some things done right out the gate.
Megan, do you see any scenario where Hakeem Jeffries might come to the rescue of Mike Johnson and to try and keep Congress from, as the Wall Street Journal says, going straight into disarray if they don't quickly elect Johnson as Speaker?
No, I don't. I think that if the Republicans didn't mess with the CR and go back on their agreement, you might have had a different story. But the disarray is the Republicans' problem. They claim that they have a mandate. Donald Trump decided to, and Elon Musk decided to weigh in on the CR, which created a lot of disarray and a lot of uncomfortable conversations, I'm sure. So now they have an extremely slim majority to get Speaker Johnson reelected. But, they're going to have to act quickly. They need to certify the election on the 6th. So I assume that is why Donald Trump finally did endorse Speaker Johnson for reelection here.
Cassie, Congressman Burchett is weighing in on really the Trump influence on this race. Here's what he had to say. Listen.
Now that President-elect Trump is behind him, is your mind solidified? Is he the guy?
Well, that would weigh heavily on me, but ultimately I'll make up my mind Friday or so when we do the votes. I'll pray about it. President Trump is very compelling, though. As I've said earlier, he's the largest dog in the pound. There's nobody bigger than him. And I don't think too many people want to tangle with him, especially on this.
So, Cassie, from Burchett to Victoria Spartz and some of the others that seem to be still sitting on the fence, what kind of message does that send? Burchett says he's going to wait until Friday. Are these individual members holding out with a specific wish list, a sort of self-serving goal that could threaten the better good, the political good for the bigger picture?
Right. If they're holding out for a specific wish list and they want those demands met, don't bluff. Make sure that you have an end goal in mind. Make sure you know what you will accept, because the problem is, and we've seen this played out before, it's how we got to Speaker Johnson in the first place, that you had guys come who really loved the microphone or really loved being able to write home to their constituents and say that they were fighting for them, but they didn't get anything for it. And I think that's the key here. And by the way, if we lose this MAGA momentum out the gate, it only goes to serve the Democrats who just lost all levers of power for a reason. Their policies weren't working. President Biden is on his way out of the White House because his policies weren't working. So that we need to focus on the bigger picture here. And I really do think that's what will come to pass. Speaker Johnson is very highly regarded amongst his colleagues, and I think they're going to work this out over the next few days. They understand what's at play here, and certainly President Trump and, as we saw, Elon Musk have the power of X behind them as well to help this along, I think, too.
Megan, do you want to respond to that? And what is the messaging coming out of Friday for Democrats?
Look, I think the Democrats have an incredible amount of power in the House right now, and moving forward into the next Congress, they have such a slim majority. They're going to have 1 or 2 seats, and that's if everyone is in town to vote. So I just think, the Republicans are going to have to learn how to compromise. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are going to have to learn how to compromise with Democrats, as they did with the CR fight just a couple of weeks ago. So I do think the message coming out of Friday is they will get their House in order. Speaker Johnson will get the speakership as predicted. I think it will be maybe 1 or 2 votes in, but he will get it. But I do think the message coming out of Friday for Democrats is they hold a lot more power than they originally were going to have, or originally Republicans thought.
With narrow margins, you may well be right. We shall see what happens. Cassie, Megan, have a happy new year. Thanks for taking time.
Happy New Year.